fans, welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Revell, and here we're going to go over some 71 Mustangs here, which I'm kind of a fan of. As you can tell here, is I've got a small collection and built these three here, and I feature those on my channel. But with the new Revell 71 Boss 351 Mustang coming out and all the excitement on it, it's getting a lot of attention, and many people are doing unboxing videos, and this one's kind of the same, but I'm doing it with the kit history and comparison as I've done with other kits that you guys have really enjoyed and subjects. So this one, since I've got these kits and I built all four of these based on that kit right there, which was what was available for the longest time and pumped out, but only recently has round two in the past 5 years pumped these two out. So they've updated their tooling. And I swear it's kind of ironic that I think they did that right about the same time that Revell announced their kit. So I don't know the chronological order in there, but it's quite interesting to me that they did some updating to these. So I will get into some of the kit history of what MPC had and how that worked out, and then compare. It's really not fair to compare, and what's gone on with these kits, and then what's in that kit, as you guys have seen. So I'm going to do some shuffling and resetting up here so you guys can see what's going on and get into it. So without further ado, we'll get into this one. So you really need to know where we came from and why we have what we have in these kits. And like I said, all three of these are built from this kit. I'll point out some of the none of these are truly box stock, so I did some tweaking and some tuning on them. Like, of course, I changed the wheels out on this one, some modifications, and this one's a Shelby Europa GT500, so I did it that, and I put the 428 in it, and not all of this is from the kit, but most of it is, but you know, that's not really accurate. And then same thing with these. This one I built as a Mach 1. It's got wheels like these kit has, but these are from Model Haas. Like I said, this was built before these kits came out, and Keith marked decals to do the Mach 1. Body is pretty much right out of that kit, including the front end. And then I did it with the 351 in there, so that's supposed to have the 351. So that's kind of what that represents, and that's pretty much right out of the box. As far as that goes, no slot, no spoiler, but the whole back end just like the Mach 1. And then this one's the Boss 351. Also changed out the wheels again. Keith marks decals. I added the chin spoiler, which are not in any of these kits. Rear wing, window slats, and then all the decals. But I sanded off all the Mach 1 ribbing off of there. Changed the gas cap. Just, you know, some tweaks here and there. And this one pretty much the same 351 that's in the kit, even though it's really not a 351, but I'll get into that. And then that's that entire front end, but carefully detail painting the black to make the headlights more round than square. And I did that on all three of these. So I've got those featured. So just kind of a real quick rehab on that. But this kit, these ones, I'll get into these as well. I wish this kit was much more mint. I've had it a while. It was another swap meet find, real cheap. So that's when I grabbed this kit, but it's the Boss 351. And this is very early 80s, late 70s, but there's no barcode on the box, no actual copyright date. But it talks about, you know, choice of stock 351 V8 or 429 cubic inch single or dual quad carbs. And over 140 parts. There's a lot of parts in here, but a lot of the parts in here don't necessarily belong to this kit. Of course, you know, the box here, and then this one's just pretty ratty, but the 351 as it appears in the kit, detailed interior. Here's the Boss 429 high rise with dual quads. It's not a 429 Cobra Jet. Kind of has a racing interior. These mini light type wheels, which I think is pretty cool. You can see it's got the 73 grill in this picture, and then the 71 grill in this picture. But this is before they modified this. But to give you what this is, This has never been an all-new tool. For those of you guys who don't know, there are actually the engines, a lot of the parts and the chassis are actually from the MPC 69 Mustang Mach 1. So it was never all new tooling. They would take their old annual toolings, modify them. Now they modified that into the 70, and they eventually created a whole new body and a whole new interior to do the 71 as a Mach 1. They did a 72, they did a 73 annual. The 73 was turned into a race car, which is where a lot of these parts are. And then AMT MPC has released that 73 a few times as well. They modified it into this Boss 351 by creating the seat pattern on the interior and some of the stuff to the engine. So while this one, it's unbuilt, but I do kind of wish that everything was still on the trees instead of in a bag here. Chrome is still on the tree, so we'll definitely get into that. Here's the windows, which is just a front rear window and the taillights. So there's those. And then, this is fairly, the body itself is fairly nice. The bumper's not glued on, it just kind of slid in place, but you can see the original like 73 front end on there. This is the Endura front bumper, which is the only bumper you got in this particular kit with the valance panel molded in. Here's your full-on chassis. Like I said, dates back to the 69. Something I'm going to point out now, you've got your 3 holes here. Those 3 are not drilled. The axle's back here. And I remember these lining up fairly well as far as in the chassis goes, because that's these chassis, with the wheels lining up. So part of the problem with these, I've heard. So I'm getting into that a little bit. But so here's the chassis. Then the typical MPC interior tub. Notice there's a brake pedal, no clutch or anything. Automatic, very light engraving. The back seat, minor dent right here, not a big deal. I really haven't had this kit for review purposes. Of course, I've had it longer than I've decided to have a channel and review some of this stuff. But so there's that. And of course, the hood. So let's put some of this away. Of course, the hood with no detail on the underside. The Goodyear Polyglass GT tires, the wide custom tires in the back. It's got 2 of those, 4 of these. And then I'll get into that in a minute, which I've shown that before. Now here's the original decals for the Boss 351. All the stripes in silver. Okay. Now this is really hard to get to lay on the hood and get it to melt into the scoops. I've heard that many times. It's got the Boss 351 decals on the engine, some of the stuff on the other stuff, but only in silver. And the decal or the instructions, which are pretty nice and typical MPC of the time, but tells you quite a bit. So like a number of parts here, but this one will actually tell you it's got some of the custom parts. So there's all of the 351 engine. Here's the 428 and 429. So it's showing you there. So here's the 428, which I don't remember if those valve covers are in there. I don't think they are. And then here's the Boss 429. So it's got 3 sets of heads, but it's showing you everything here. Now there's all the tires, stock interior with seat belts. Then there's the full race interior with the roll cage and everything. Then a console piece. I'll show you all this stuff. The firewall, race dash, race steering wheel, stock steering wheel, race dash. And then of course, the front end, window slats, spoiler, tail panel, bumpers, some of the other race parts, the windows, the extra gas cap on the side. So this one tells you a lot about all the parts in this kit. So there's a lot in here. So as I mentioned, I'm just going to dump some of this stuff out, but it's got this overly exaggerated Boss 429 hood scoop. Here's part of the roll bar. Here's this half and this half of the roll bar. So this is in this kit. This newer kit only has half of this. It's missing. Here's the exhaust and suspension, not exhaust. Here's the stock dash. Then you've got the stock seats, if it'll focus on it. The backs are in here too. Here's the window slats, which if you're gonna worry about this with Revell not giving you this, this was an aftermarket accessory. They were available on the 69 and 70 Mustang sports roof, but for some reason, Ford did not offer these on the 71 to 73 sports roofs. The aftermarket did, but Ford actually never did. So you've got this part from the race interior that's really not mentioned in the instructions. This that covers the console, so you can cut all that out. Here's the rear tail panel. And then the multiple engines. Here's the sides of the 428 engine. This is the small block engine, which in the instructions call it a 351. Note that both engines are manual transmission, even though we just saw that it's an automatic pedals. Okay, here's the race dash. So a lot of this stuff is in the new one. This is the timing cover for the 428 engine. Here's the stock steering wheel. Another set of these are the Boss 429 heads. There's multiple intakes, the 4-barrel. Webers with the velocity stacks, one racing seat, firewall with literally nothing to it. If that's a brake boost or brakes, that's not much to it. And the radiator support, which, just a radiator. Wide wheels, there's all these parts. Most of this is in this kit. So when I kind of compare the two, here's your stock air cleaner. Not much to it. Oh, and some notice this. Here is a shaker right here. It's in the kit. It's not included. This is from the 69 Mach 1 as well, if it'll focus on it. So, another part from the 69 Mach 1. So most of this, the engine parts in here are from the 69 Mach 1. Oh, and this one has the axle pins as well, but it has 2 of the steel axles, so you can do that as well. So I'll get this back in. And I kind of mentioned this. This is Missing Link's front end upgrade kit that he offered years ago for this kit. It's got the resin front end, chrome bumper, which the Boss 351 should have the chrome bumper. The Mach 1s have the painted bumper. Here's the front spoiler, clear headlights, and then the new valance panel. Ironically, that is a lot like what's in this kit. So it's kind of funny, but it seems like this really may have inspired the upgrades on that so that they can see that. So let me get this put away real quick. Oh, and I forgot to mention, there is the 73 Mach 1 grill that's in this thing, so you can put that in there. Okay, I'm putting this stuff away. We'll compare the bodies. And I'll compare the chrome trees between these two. So let's put that away. Now, we'll get into this one. Now, RC2 did do some updates to this kit when they built this and retooled it. So one of the changes is definitely the pad printed tires. These are the white ovals. Same tires, but now they're pad printed. One steel axle. Okay. Here's the same glass, same taillights, but here's the separate clear headlights, turn signals, and the ones that go below the bumper, turn signals as well, whether park lights or turn signals. Here is the new body, which is unchanged in all angles except this front. So there you can see the retooling of the front end. And take that bumper off. But yeah, so you can see what they did to retool that front end. So when you look at it, it does look a lot like his front end. Other than turn signals are separate, and there's a separate chrome bezel that goes around the grille now. And then a new front bumper and a new valance, just like Kevin's resin kit. So, and then the chassis, as I was mentioning, those 3 holes are drilled now and not the one in the back. So I kind of question if these are going to line up tire-wise. I've heard from reviews of people building this kit that it doesn't line up anymore, and that would probably be why, right there. This is the same. So a lot of the parts haven't changed, although now everything is on the trees, so I can show you all of those parts. So nothing really changed here. Okay. Kind of the same with this one. Here's the same front end that this new body doesn't use, but the firewall, the big tires, the things, the manifolds, the smog equipment, the shaker, all this stuff is from the 428 FE motor, and then the manual tranny. So there's all of that. Here's the hood, the battery, mirrors, whatever that is. One seat back, which way over here, the same interior console delete basically. So all these parts are from that kit still. Now this kit, this part, nothing really changed here. There's all the dash, all of this, but now you've only got one half of the roll cage. It's missing. And you've also got this funky 4 2-barrel or 4 1-barrel setup right here for the small block. That's kind of like the Cross Boss, but it's just the intake. Here's a regular 4-barrel, the small block heads, manifolds. But this is all the Windsor style 302 stuff, not actually the Cleveland 351 stuff. So pretty much all of the motor is right from the 69 still. Here's the roll bar. Here's that same 73 grill. Here's the FE heads. No, actually, that's the Boss 429 heads. Here's the FE heads. The intake, the block halves, all there. And then the new front bumper, the new front balance panel. Then you got where the license plates mount now. The other half of the roll bar is now missing. And then you've got the same velocity stacks and everything for the multi-carb setup. This is unchanged. That's all still there. And then some more wheel backs and the decals. I'll get to the decals here in a minute because they are in here, right? Oh, they're over here. I already took them out. Okay, so there's the decals. So I'll get to that here in a minute. But one thing I wanted to show was here is the chrome tree, and I set this aside on purpose. This is the chrome tree that's in the Boss 351. Now it's got these wheels, which are pretty cool, but they're pretty much the racing wheels. And you've got these concoctions of a valve covers. Those are the small block 351 ones. The race here, the dual carbs, the intake, gas cap, gauges, fire extinguisher, dual fuel pumps. It's like a catch can, the breathers, the wheelie bars, and then the stock wheels, which are more like the Mach 1 wheels. Here's the chrome headlights and the grille, and then the rear tail panel for the Mach 1. Of course, the regular carburetor, fuel pump, and some more of this stuff here. So this center section of this has been changed when we get to this. So it's kind of funny. Oh, and I got to point out, here's all 8 velocity stacks for that custom intake with the 8 Webers or Hilborn fuel injection, if you will, whatever it is. But there's 8 velocity stacks in this one. So come to the new one. Like I mentioned, they changed it. Most of this is the same, but now instead of those wheels, you've got the dog dish ones that say Ford Motor Company, which is cool. Same rear bumper. All of this stuff is the same down here. Haven't changed any of that. But now you've only got 6 velocity stacks, not 8. So 2 of them are missing. Here's the new surround that goes around the new grill. So the old 71 grill is missing. So there's that. And then, you've got these Mach 1 wheels also. So you've got the 2 sets right there. But I don't see any of the 428 Cobra Jet valve covers. So those are missing, even though you got the smog equipment and just about everything else for them. So there's that. And then I'll show you the main difference between this one and the Bond kit, which really isn't much. This kit, other than all the Bond licensing and everything, and it talks about all this stuff, but it's pretty much the Bond car. Its decals are the main difference between it and this one. So, I just dump that stuff out. Okay, put that in there anyway. So when you compare these two, so this one has all of the decals when it comes to these. So here's the decal sheet that comes in the yellow box art car, which has full set of the silver and black Mach 1 engine callouts, all the turn signals and marker lights, and 351 4V on the air cleaner. So it's all pretty much there. So that's pretty intensive. And then this one, everything's all molded in red. You've got pad printed white wall tires, not the Firestone ones. And then let me get to the bottom here. Let's see. Okay. Now this decal sheet is much smaller, but you can see it doesn't really have any of the stripes. It just has the Mach 1 call out, the 351 AMT and all that stuff. So it's just really showing you all of that. And then the instructions are also very vague. Don't really talk anything about all the extra custom parts that are thrown in there. So while you got a ton of extra parts in there, doesn't really explain any of them. You just got a ton of parts, but just shows you how to do the new front end as far as setting that up and all the different parts there. But the Mach 1, it would be correct, but for the Boss 351, that should be chrome. But anyway, I'll get all this all cleaned up and we'll move on to the Revell kit. Now we, of course, move on to the Revell kit. But to compare this, like I said, really isn't fair. This is all modern tooling and everything. And, you know, they had a car on hand and everything from what was shown years ago when Revell had teased this kit. So it's also interesting that they're supposed to be coming out with a Bond Edition Mach 1 just like that. Was stated by the end of the year. I have no insider knowledge if that's really happening or not. Plus, I have seen some of the other inserts that were shown as Facebook as well. But, you know, while the MPC kit, I like it. It's challenging to build. It will definitely test your skills. So, and the newer ones are a little bit worse and a lot more flash and worn out. But that tooling, like I said, actually dates all the way back to the 69. It's not truly new tooling. It was always full of compromises and modifications and updates and everything. So as you get to the newer kits, you can really see it. So they will challenge you, and even my red kit has a ton of flash on it compared to the molded and white kit, even though they're only a few years apart. But when it comes to this kit, yeah, it's just amazing and everything. And I was really looking forward to it, and it really tells you about the car. So I'm kind of going to flow through it really quickly. But I mean, it's kind of obvious, you know, how they built it. You know, having the wheels on a separate tree and having the Magnum 500s makes it real easy to change this to another set of wheels or another insert in the tooling. So, I mean, that's obvious. Having the chrome bumpers and some of this stuff, and then you got a racing gas cap here and a stock gas cap, separate door handles, the shifter, there's the 71 turn signals up in the grill. So I mean, all of this is right from what I know about the car. And then, you know, having this panel with the exhaust and the different rear panel, and this is a smooth panel for the Boss 351, but they can easily change that for the Mach 1's panel. Then no exhaust cutouts in here, or you can add them easily. But being a separate part, they can easily come out with the ones with the exhaust cut out instead of the turn downs. Really nice hood. Got the details molded in under hood. You can detail paint that to make it look like the actual car, and I'm going to do that, but not having any extra pieces. But the scoops being open and even just having the detail of the bolt-in parts is a couple of steps ahead compared to the MPC one. And of course, you got your spoilers on a separate tree, you know, front and rear. Cool. And here's all of your small block stuff. This is all the actual 351, and a really nice engine that I've seen here, looking over, carburetor and everything. So this is a really nice looking motor. And, you know, I'm no real authority on this motor, but it really looks right to me. and having all of the stuff there. And then, you know, this separate door panels, the exhaust, sun visors, multiple piece interior tub, you know, just modern tooling and everything just really makes that stand out. Here's the windows right here, and then rear window, front window, tail lights, and then you've got your headlights here, and then quarter windows. But you've also got the 73 grills, turn signals in there. Now these are blacked out in the instructions telling you you're not going to use them, but why else would they be here? They've got the dome light here, and then you've got the chrome ones for the 71 on the chrome tree. These are the 73 ones. So obviously, you know, a 73 has kind of been teased. As I mentioned, they showed the tree that had the flat hood and some of that stuff. Beautiful body, really nice body and everything. But like I said, they made this in such a way that it could be any year sports roof with the hood and the front end being a whole separate part. So then the tires, plain tires, but nice. We'll see how they look. And of course, all of this. You got two fan shrouds. One's bigger than the other one as far as depth and everything. So everybody's thought is one's for the 428, one's for the 351. You got your horns, console, all your suspension and everything. Really nice dash there with the, I forgot to mention the no grab handle, which would be correct for the Boss 351 and many of them. That other MPC kit has a grab handle there, but given the other inaccuracies, pretty nice firewall, and just some really nice stuff there. And you've got the bracing, all the underhood details, rear end, sway bar, shocks, the manual pedals, but separate so you can make it an automatic, the console. So I wonder if there would be an automatic in there. Really nice chassis, leaf springs, you know, shock mounts, the separate 8 3/4, or I mean 4 to 9-inch pumpkin right here. So some really nice stuff there. And then here's that separate front end, so they can change it out if they need to with the valance, mirrors, and that front end. So I mean, this could really be changed out and upgraded. So it'd be interesting to see what other tools and everything come out of this one with other variants. But looking forward to that Mach 1 that's supposed to be coming out. And then these instructions. Oh, and the decals, of course. Decals, silver and black. And I'm really itching to do a silver striped car. Mentioned that before already, but a ton of decals and a lot of stuff here, which is great. And then, of course, very, very detailed instructions. I mean, you do a whole video on just this, but I mentioned the blacked out areas saying you don't need those parts. That's where the grill turn signals are. And then the fan shroud. I forgot what was there, but you know, some of the extra parts. So it's already hinting at, you know, other variants of this kit. So a lot of cool stuff, and I can't wait to get started on this one. So I am going to get started on this one and get it going. But some really cool stuff in here. And like I mentioned, my one kit got damaged. Mark at Hobby Nut Models is going to get me another one. And he filed a claim on it. Those of you guys were asking, it was a bit more damaged. The chassis was tweaked. The door panels were actually bent this way. So both of these door panels were bent. This is a little bit bent from getting this whole tree smashed. And then the body took a beating on that other kit. And then same thing with the chassis plate. This whole thing, both towers got pushed together and all of this stuff is bent. One side's higher than the other. And it could be fixed, but it's UPS and it was insured, not US Postal Service, but actually Brown Truck UPS. And it was insured, so the claim has been filed. Mark's taking care of all of that. So anyway, that's kind of an update on that. And my review and my thoughts on this kit. So I'm really excited to get started with this, along with all the other projects I've got started and going and bouncing on and off my desk. But really liking all the details here. And, you know, can't wait to really build this one. But I'm always excited about something and then building something, of course. So, and possibly updating some of those older builds that I showed you there as well, because I bought all those resin kits from Kevin at Missing Link so long ago. But anyway, that should conclude it on that. So thank you for tuning in, subscribing, and all your comments and everything. I really do appreciate it. And again, special thanks to Hobby Nut Models for providing these kits, the 71 Revell kits. The other ones were mine in my stash, of course. And so just well, thank him for that and everything, and sponsoring the channel. And all of your comments, I really do appreciate it, and all your support. And hit that bell button and like, of course. So thank you again, and I will see you next Saturday.